Yes, thanks, Prof, for that very useful introduction. And welcome everyone to our third day of this training. We're going to continue from where we stopped yesterday. Yesterday, I introduced you to what coding is, how you can create your nodes and the various ways
Andrew, we've lost you there. Can you please unmute your mic?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you clearly.
I'm not sure what happened. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I was saying that the first day when I gave the PowerPoint presentation, I showed you a graphic that gives you an overview of how you could consider your project, going about your project in NVIVO. And it tells you that the first thing you bring your data into NVIVO and you begin to explore. So I'm going to show you the very basic way to explore your the data that you've brought into NVIVO. And that could actually be the starting point. Before you do anything, it might be worthwhile just check your data. You know, what is your data saying? And that might give you an insight into maybe the key information that are there in your data based on what people are saying. And from that, you can now begin to think of how to code your data. So it's a very rudimentary way to explore your data, as I said. So to do that, you go to this option here that says, and then you choose this tab that says word frequency. So what we want to do is to go through the transcripts that I have here. Remember, for this training, I put my transcript in this place. There are 4 of them. So I want to quickly go through these transcripts, ask NVIVO to show me the most frequently occurring words in the transcript. And that will give you an idea. So for example, this, you would remember that there are State of the Nation addresses by 4 different presidents. So there are common terms that you expect in a state of a nation address. So by carrying out this exercise, you will be able to have a very rough idea of what is being said in the State of the Nation address. So once you click on that option, I'm going to repeat the process again. You come to explore, you choose this option that says word frequency, and you have this window that is open for you, and you have different different parameters. So the first one that I'm going to show you is that one is a default. It says external that. Remember I told you when we started that files is where all the data that you'll be working with in NVIVO are stored. The folders, 3 folders. One is document, the other one is focus group discussion, the other one is individuals. And I told you external is simply referring to those resources that you're working with in NVIVO, but for one reason or the other, you are not able to, or you don't want to bring them to NVIVO, they're sitting somewhere else. If they're sitting on your computer, you are able to create, you are able to create a link from NVIVO to, you're able to create a link from NVIVO into where that document is sitting on your computer. So here, you can use this to select an item. Okay, if you want to search in a particular node, for example, you can come here and select the node and tell NVIVO, I'm doing I want you to tell me the most frequently occurring words in this particular node. Here, you can select folders. And this is why myself and Prof were emphasizing that if you're collecting your data from multiple sources, it's very important that you separate them into different folders. Because when you're doing your analysis, if somebody says something, it's important to also, for your reader to know, is this coming from a focus group discussion or is it coming from an individual interviews? So you need to create folders for the different data sources. So if you click on the option files, remember there was a plus sign, and I told you whenever you see that, it tells you that there are subsidiary folders. You click on that and go to the folder where you want to perform this search. For now, for this training, you remember that this folder is blank. This one is blank. Our documents are sitting here. You select that and you click on OK. Okay, so we're telling NVIVO to go through the folder called individual interviews and tell us the 1,000 most frequently occurring words. This is where you as a researcher needs to apply your mind. Using this example that we have, State of the Nation address, only 4 of them. If I ask NVIVO to show me the 1,000 most frequently occurring words, chances are that about 80 to 90% of the words in these transcripts will appear as most frequently occurring because we have limited data. Okay, so it does not make sense to leave it at default. We want to see the high level most frequently occurring word. So this is very flexible. You can change this setting. So I will change it here to 50. Instead of the 1,000, I say, NVIVO, show me the 50 most frequently occurring words across these 4 data points or data sources that I have here. Okay, and then you come to this option that says minimum length. This tells you the character in each of the words that NVIVO should pick. Again, as a researcher, you need to understand, given the phenomenon that you're studying, you know, what is the length of the most important words that you'll be expecting. The default for NVIVO is 3. That means words like was, for example, will appear, has will appear, but will appear. If they appear many times, NVIVO will pick them up as a frequently occurring word. So you can also modify this and change it to 4 or to 5, depending on what you want. And then if you come to this option, it tells you how do you want to group the words that you're searching for? How do you want NVIVO to group them? The default is exact match. Okay, what that means is that when NVIVO goes through your data, it will pick out words exactly as they appear. It uses the example of talk. So what that means is that if there is talk, if there is talked with ed, if there is talking, NVIVO will pick each of them as a separate entry. Okay, if you slide your sliding scale down a notch, here NVIVO merges stemmed words. So talk and talking and talked will be merged together as one. If you slide it a step further, NVIVO will merge synonyms. You go a step further, it merges specialization. So you as a researcher, you need to be very careful here and understand what you're doing. So for me, I don't go this far. For my purposes, I usually stop at this stage and tells NVIVO only group the stem words that that appear in my transcript. Here you can also choose to add the query to your project. Okay, word frequency. Like you don't add it, it's up to you. But if you want to add it, you can add your text, your result into your word frequency, into your project. What that means is that the result of the query will be stored in your project and you can go back to it at a later stage. So for now, let's leave it at that and then we run our query. So remember, we have selected our folder. Okay, we say NVIVO should look into this folder, pick out the 4 frequently
Andrew, we've lost your audio. Are you still with us? All right.
How far was I lost?
Can you share your screen again, please? Because we lost your screen share as well. You lost connection completely.
Oh boy. And I was carrying on, I had no idea. How far behind was I lost?
We only lost you for about 10 seconds or so.
Okay. I'm going to try and switch my my data and see if that helps.
Okay, Andrew, also there's been a request from one of the participants for you to enlarge your screen share. Are you comfortable with doing that?
I'll try.
All right. We've lost your screen again, Andrew.
Okay, I hope it's better now. I've switched off my data first. Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Again.
I don't know how big. Hello?
Yes, it's back, Andrew. Your screen's back and your sound is back.
Okay. All right. Okay. So perhaps I'm not sure where I lost people. Let me just go through this quickly. I'll retrace my steps so that people are not lost. Okay. So I'll go through the whole thing again. We are looking for the most frequently occurring words in our data. We come to word frequency. We are going to specify the folder where our documents are stored. It is in files. I will select individual interviews. I click on OK. Okay, and I said you can change this default because it doesn't make sense. We have only 4 files to say look for the 1,000 most frequently occurring words. I'll change the default to 50. And here I will change this to 4. This means that words like was, because it has only 3 letters, but with 3 letters, they will not appear in my text search result. And then I'll choose this option to stem the word because I want this program to group things like talk, talking, government, governments, governmental, governing, governance, group them together as one. So once you've done that, you click on the option that says run query, and it gives you the result. You can stretch this to see the words better. And this tells us that the word government is the most frequently occurring words. So it's number 1 out of the 50. It has 11 characters. It appears 153 times. Okay, and this is the weighted percentage across our results. Here are the words that have been merged or stemmed to give us this result. So you can also keep scrolling through and scrolling through, and sometimes you can come across redundant words. So I'll give you an example. Also does not add any value to what we're doing. So we don't want it to appear in our search result. This also happens sometimes if you have done interview. I've seen some people transcribing as interviewer, they type the question, interview, they type the response, interviewer, question, interviewee, response in the transcript. If you have that kind of setup and you bring your transcript to run this query, chances are that interviewer, interviewee will appear as some of the most frequently occurring words in your transcript. Those do not add value to your work. You can simply eliminate them. How do you do that? Simply right-click on the word that you don't want, and you say add to stop words list. Okay? Again, you click on the word you want, right-click on it, add to stop word list, and then you click on OK. NVIVO has added it to our stop word list. It's still showing, but when we run our query again, automatically it is not going to appear. So you keep scrolling down just to have an idea. You look, are there any other redundant words? I don't see any, and I run my query again. So when I run my query again, if I go through it now, that word also is no longer here, it's gone. Okay, so these are the most frequently occurring words in my transcript. And it kind of makes sense, because if you think of a State of the Nation address, the leaders of a country would most likely be speaking about government and governance issues most of the time. South, in the context of South Africa, that's why South appears. Year, they might be talking about the year when a policy or an act of parliament or a program, national issue, of course, people, talking about African and Africans, issues of country, work, employment, very important. Development, one of the key things governments are concerned about, program. So this is not very surprising. These are the kinds of information that we would expect to see in our data. So this is a way to start this. And the beauty of this is that right from here, okay, right from this place, you can do other things. So for example, here you can have different displays. Here we have this tab, which says summary. It gives us a summary of our most frequently occurring words. If you choose on the next tab, it gives you the word cloud. It displays the word cloud. And what this means is that it's like a graphical display of what we have here. So NVIVO takes the number of times that they appear and display it as a graph. So the bigger the word, it means the more frequently it appeared in your transcript. As you can see here, government, South, year, the top 3 words. You come here, it's not surprising. You see government, you see year, you see South. Sometimes the view might not be very good. You can right-click here and you say on dark, so that that window becomes the only window that appears. And you might have a better view. Sorry, I'm using a very small computer, so can I hide this? Yeah, I'm able to hide that. So now you can see the frequently occurring words in my transcript. You can change how your words, how it appears, the result, in terms of the display. You can change the format. You are able to interpret this. Remember that those 2 things, it has to make sense, and you have to be able to interpret it. You can simply right-click on it, copy it, and come to a Word document, okay? And you paste it, and it becomes part of what you could include in your thesis or in your journal paper, depending on whatever you do it. So now I have this here. I can use it in my thesis or in my manuscript. You can also display it as a word tree. Another way to look at your data, you can display it as a cluster. This one tells you how the words are connected. It's very tiny. Can I increase the view? Anyway, let's not waste time on that. But this tells you that there are various ways that you can display your result. And from within here, you can run another query, and say, okay, run a text search for this word government. I want to just search for this word government alone. You right click and you run, and it tells you the number of times it appears in each of your transcripts. So you see that it appears the most in this transcript by Thabo Mbeki, followed by the one of Jacob Zuma, and then Motlanthe and the Cyril Ramaphosa. So this is another way that you can just quickly have an overview of your data to see what is your data and telling you. You can display it as a text, and here it gives you a link to where they appear in your transcript. Part of my computer is very small, so the view is not that great. And here it tells you how it has performed this search. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with the Boolean search operand, it tells you that it has looked for governance or governing or government or governments. So it's a very interesting and helpful tool to use to look for information in your transcript. Another thing that you could do, let me close that. Another thing that I will quickly want to show you, it's beside perfectly, you can actually tell NVIVO to look for particular words that you think appear in your transcript. So for this one, to do that, you come to this option. Apologies, let me take that step again. Remember, you come to explore. Instead of going to word frequency, we click on the option that's text search because we want to look for texts. And the first time I gave this training playing with this data, it was so I'm going to look for the word called the concept of radical economic transformation, which I've been talking about. And to be able to do that, you need to remember that when you're looking for a concept, you need to place the concept in a quotation mark. So you are telling NVIVO that it should look for this exactly the way they appear. If I don't do that and I do, let me do it the other way that you shouldn't do, economic transformation, and I run a query, you see that it appears in all the transcripts. Okay, but if we open some of the transcripts, you will see that this actually does not appear together. It could be that Mbeki has talked about radical on page 1 of the document, talks about economic issues on page 2, about transformation on page 3. So what NVIVO has done is that it has picked wherever this word appears. It doesn't matter the order in which it appears. So now that I've shown you what you should not do, what should you do? Rather, place the concept in a quotation mark. And you are forcing NVIVO to only show you the result where the words appear in this very order. So take note of this result that we have here. You can see that for the first search that we perform, this appears across all the transcripts. So now when we run the query again, you see that now it appears in only 2 transcripts, okay? The transcript from Jacob Zuma and the one from Cyril Ramaphosa, okay? And I would like to make this conclusion that from this, we can say with high confidence that this concept is statistically significantly related to Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa. And having said that, I know Prof will kill me because it's not correct.
I've been waiting to speak.
I've taken only four transcripts, and there are so many others stated. Also, this is not a quantitative research. But what this does is that it gives you an idea, you know, who among your participants is saying what. It tells us that for these data points that we have, the concept of radical economic transformation, you can see it appears 4 times in this State of the Nation addressed by former President Jacob Zuma, and it appears 1 time by the State of the Nation addressed by President Cyril Ramaphosa. And for those who are familiar with the political discourses in South Africa, you would know that this concept is a relative development. It's a recent development. So it's not surprising. Again, I say that with caution because we have only 4 data points here, but it's not surprising that you will see it only in Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa's transcripts. You can display how they appear. If you click on this option, it gives you exactly where it appears in the context in which it appears. Radical economic transformation requires that we transform, that we fundamentally improve. Where does it appear? More inclusive representative sector towards radical transformation. So you can go through your data and see how it appears. So at this point, I think I'm going to pause now and take comments and questions.
Yes. Andrew, can I say something quickly, please?
Yes, please, Prof.
Yes, I think that, you know, thank you so much, Andrew. I think it's a very useful set of tools you've shared to help us to begin to understand our data or our transcripts and what they're saying. And I'm glad I was that you very cautiously repeated that what it is doing is saying the number of times or a word or a phrase or a series of words are repeated. It is not telling you about its importance. So let me emphasize again what I said at the beginning. Be careful, because I have seen a lot of students get excited about the pretty word clouds and the pretty tree links that links the words, etc. And then they start to make very problematic conclusions. You can't, for example, say that this is the most, because the word appears the most, it's the most important issue. As Andrew has shown, as you begin to look at it more critically, it may be attributed to only one voice in terms of your qualitative research, and you need to understand that. For example, if you do focus groups interviews and you're looking just in one transcript and you use this word query to begin to understand what are the issues that emerged the most. And say, for example, it was student focus groups, and the word that emerges the most is fee remission. And you may come to the conclusion that that's the most important issue. But when you start actually doing the research work, going and looking at where did this appear, it could be only one person in that 15-member focus group that was pushing that agenda. But that will come from you understanding the way you collected your data, you keeping the notes properly, recording the transcripts properly. Otherwise, you come to some very dangerous conclusions. And as I said, you can then undermine the quality of the work, and you might even be told, resubmit. This is very problematic research. The basis of your conclusions are flawed. So this does not replace your thinking mind, and you cannot then look at number of words and percentages and stuff and then start to make conclusions about how important something is or how something is related to the other, or to another variable, because you have to do proper analysis for that. And it starts with your sample size, how you collected your data. Did you have a quantitative design to make quantitative conclusions? and generalizations.
Thanks, Prof, for that.
Yeah.
And Jim, there's a query on the chat here. I think you were speaking about extracting words. So Paula has asked, what if you want to combine words, because you highlighted the word South from South Africa, but what if you wanted to combine words like South Africa?
Okay, so she's talking about, thanks for that. She's talking about, if I understand correctly, the first thing that we did,
yes,
which was the word frequency.
Yes, I think that.
So with that, unfortunately, it's set by the computer. As I told you, it's a very rudimentary way to go through your data. So you don't have the ability to combine text. NVIVO picks them as a standalone word. You don't have the ability to combine them. But if you want to combine, then you use the second option, which I have just demonstrated, okay? The one of text search. You come to explore again and you say text search. Remember, you have to use your Boolean thing. You say South Africa. So you're forcing NVIVO to look at the words as they appear in the parentheses. So if you run this search now, it will only pick results that are about South Africa. If you come to the references now, you see that South Africa is highlighted wherever it appears in the text.
So just
okay, I'm not sure if that answers the question. And also, I would like to show that you have this option where you can expand your search. So you can use and, or, not. So there are many operands that you can set for your search here, depending on what you're looking for. It's just like when you are looking for papers on Google Scholar. You know, you tell your search engine to look for this and not that, look for this or that. So it's a similar operations that you perform here.